Well, happy Monday, everybody. I hope you had a great weekend and you were in church worshiping the Lord Sunday. If not, please visit our website, fbcrockhill.org, and watch one of the live streams from this past Sunday. Hey, before we get to Genesis 49, I want to ask you to be praying about something. In just a few weeks, on April 20, Sunday, April 20, it's Easter, celebrating the resurrection of Jesus Christ. I want to ask you to do something. Will you start praying right now? Pray every day right now between now and Easter for God to do a great work in all of our worship services on Easter Sunday, for God to wake people up and bring them, for there to be a lot of lost people here, for people to be saved. Will you pray for God to move mightily at First Baptist on Easter Sunday and for many people to come to know Jesus, to be saved on Easter? And pray even now for God to give you many opportunities to invite people to come to Easter with you. Okay. God answers prayers. If you start praying right now for God to let you invite some people, God will let you invite some people. And if you start praying now for God to do a great work and people to be saved, listen, things don't happen if we don't pray. Things don't happen just because we want them to. We don't wish them into existence. We pray them into existence. So start praying. All right. Genesis 49, in this chapter, Israel, i.e. Jacob, blesses his 12 sons before he dies. He announces a blessing on each of them. And look at verses 1 and 2. Then Jacob summoned his sons and said, "Assemble yourselves that I may tell you what will befall you in the days to come. Gather together and hear, O sons of Jacob, and listen to Israel, your father," his other name. In the Old Testament, with the patriarchs, it was quite often that when the father blessed his children, it had some sense of what God was going to do in their lives in the future associated with that blessing. And that is the case in Genesis 49 with Jacob blessing his 12 sons. Let's look at a little bit of this. His oldest is Reuben. So in verses 3 and 4, "Reuben, you are my firstborn, my might and the beginning of my strength, preeminent in dignity and preeminent in power, uncontrolled as water, violent of temper, uncontrolled as water. You shall not have preeminence because you went up to your father's bed, then you defiled it. He went up to my couch." So Reuben is his firstborn son, and normally the firstborn received some privileges. He was to be considered the leader of the family, of the extended family of the clan. He would get a double portion of the inheritance. There was an honor associated with being the firstborn, and the others were to respect him and let him be the leader. But that is taken away from Reuben, and it's distributed among the other sons. The reason is because of the event that took place earlier. I'm trying to remember what chapter. I think it's chapter 35 of Genesis. Reuben went to Bilhah, who was the maid of Rachel. Now, remember, Jacob had Leah and Rachel. Reuben was his firstborn son, born to Leah. Rachel's the one who gave birth to Joseph and Benjamin. But Rachel's maid, Bilhah, also she gave her to Jacob, and he had children. And so Reuben here went and he slept and had sex with Bilhah. Rachel, who was not his mother or anything like that. Leah was his mother, but he had sex. But she belonged to Rachel and to Jacob, and so it was a sin. And so Jacob said, because of that, you lost the privileges that come with being the firstborn. That's going to be your future. Simeon and Levi, in verses 5 through 7, Simeon and Levi are brothers. Their swords are implements of violence. Let my soul not enter into their counsel. Let not my glory be united with their assembly, because in their anger they slew men, and in their self-will they lamed oxen. Cursed be their anger, for it is fierce, and their wrath, for it is cruel. I will disperse them. Notice, now here's the future. I will disperse them in Jacob and scatter them in Israel. So what's going on here? Well, you remember earlier in Genesis, Genesis 34, their sister Dinah was raped by a prince, and then there was this negotiation, and it was decided that if this Canaanite group, this prince and his community would be circumcised, then they and the Jewish people, they could intermarry and all that. And so they agreed to it, and they were all circumcised. And you remember Simeon and Levi took their swords and went in there and killed all the men while they were in pain recovering from circumcision, violence. And Jacob and them had to move because of that. Yeah, their Jacob's reputation became odious because of what his sons had done back earlier in Genesis. And so he says, because of that violence, that anger in you, you're going to be dispersed among the tribes, among the rest of Judah or Israel. So what happened? Well, Simeon, it's interesting. When the Exodus took place, and you look at the numbers in the book of Numbers, okay, numbers and numbers make sense. But anyway, when you look at the how many Jewish people were part of Simeon's tribe when the Exodus started with Moses, they were the third largest or most populous tribe of the 12. When the 40 years of wandering in the wilderness was complete, and there's a new census, and those numbers are recorded in Numbers as well, they were the smallest tribe. So they had so many people die during the 40 years of wandering, they became the smallest tribe, even though they started out as the third biggest of the 12. And the land they inherited was a circle of land that was completely encircled by the tribe of Judah. That's what he's talking about here. Levi was part of this violence too, but to the credit of the Levites, the descendants of Levi, at Mount Sinai, when Moses came down and Aaron and the others had built that golden calf and the people had rebelled and sinned, it was the tribe of Levi that stood loyal to Moses in that moment. And so they were rewarded as well. So what happened? Well, the Levites, the tribe of Levi, did not receive any land so they're not one of the 12 tribes that got land. The Levites became those who served God at the tabernacle and the temple. The Levites, they became priests, and some of them became those who were the helpers, the servants, the gatekeepers, the singers, the choir. So they became the ones who took care of the worship. And they were dependent on the offerings. I think we talked about this a couple of days, maybe on Thursday's devotion. They were dependent on the offerings of the other tribes. Now, they were given a little bit of land to pasture, to graze some of their livestock, but they did not have land. So they were dispersed among the tribes as well. No land grants, so to speak. But yet they were blessed because of their standing with Moses at Mount Sinai. And they became the priest, the priest and the Levites in the Old Testament. And one more, just on these tribes. It's just interesting. So one more, Judah, verses 8 and following. Judah, another son of Jacob, your brothers shall praise you. Your hand shall be on the neck of your enemies. Your father's sons shall bow down to you. In a sense, he got the blessing that would have originally gone to Reuben. Verse 9, Judah is a lion's whelp. From the prey, my son, you have gone up. He couches, he lies down as a lion, and as a lion who dares rouse him up. The scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor the ruler's staff from between his feet until Shiloh comes, and to him shall be the obedience of the people. He ties his foal to the vine and his donkey's colt to the choice vine. He washes his garments in wine and his robes in the blood of grapes. His eyes are dull. Does not mean bad sight, but they're dark colored from wine, and his teeth white from milk. Now, don't have time to break down all of that, but what it's saying is the tribe of Judah would become the leading tribe. And from them, the scepters and the staff and all of that, and the others would bow down. The tribe of Judah would be the tribe from which God would raise up so many kings of Israel, so many prophets, so many leaders in the nation. And that's exactly what happened. Kings would come. And when he talks in here about until Shiloh comes, This prophecy was fulfilled many times with the different kings, including maybe the greatest of their kings, David. But ultimately, it was fulfilled in the coming of the Messiah. And in Revelation chapter 5, verse 5, the lion that is from the tribe of Judah, the root of David. See, Jesus, the Messiah, was a descendant of the tribe of Judah. And Jacob was in this blessing forecasting that all those centuries earlier. Wow. Remember in Genesis 12, when God called Abraham and said, go to this new land I'll show you, and I'm going to make of you a great people, and through you all the peoples of the earth will be blessed. That happened here through the tribe of Judah, through whom the Messiah came. See, God's plan with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob was always looking centuries ahead to the birth of the Messiah and the salvation of humanity. When God called Abraham to leave Ur of the Chaldeans, God had me and you on his mind and in his heart. And it was his plan to do all of that we've been reading in Genesis so that you and I could know him and one day be in heaven. That is our God. Blessed be his name. Amen.